What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Sports Scoop. I am Serge. Today, I'm going to be doing a New York Jets versus Carolina Panthers Week 1 recap of how the game went. So, obviously, the New York Jets did lose to the Carolina Panthers in Week 1. And as a Jets fan, there's a lot of positives and negatives to take away from it. So, let's get into this video real quickly. I'm going to go over kind of half by half, really, this recap of what I thought, what I liked, what I didn't like. So, let's start off in the first quarter. It was obviously kind of to put it nicely, a less than ideal start for the New York Jets. We really struggled on the offensive side of the ball. The defense really held firm to start off the game as well, which was very promising. The offense couldn't get anything against a Carolina defense that looked like they were flying all around the place from the secondary to the defensive line. Zach Wilson had barely any time to throw. And here's a problem that happened earlier in the game and really plagued us from the whole game. It really was kind of the reason why we struggled to win this game in general. The run game. We had nothing from the start to the end. Because honestly, with a rookie quarterback, you kind of want to establish the run against the defense so you can get some quick, easy looks, kind of maybe incorporate some bootleg. And I can see a lot of people are criticizing Michael Ford for maybe his offense not showing up Week 1, but honestly, he tried his best. And this was a problem that I had throughout the entire game, was that maybe the Jets just didn't have the athletes to compete on the offensive line and at the running back position. And we saw all of them really struggle. Tevin Coleman, 9 rushes, 24 yards. Ty Johnson, 4 rushes, 15 yards. Michael Carter, 4 rushes, 6 yards. When we had those guys performing so poorly in this area, we really didn't have we have to force Zach Wilson to throw the ball a lot more than we would have wanted to in Week 1, and thus making him take more hits, which we'll get into early. So really the offense really struggled because of that, because then Carolina could really, while they kind of slow down the run with their what I thought they had amazing pass rush and a defensive line. While they were able to do that, they were able to also hone on in the pass game and kind of dare us run, which even with a 4-man front, we weren't able to get past Derek Brown, Brian Burns, and the rest of the D line. So credit to them at that point, forced Zach Wilson to pass. And early on, I wouldn't say he was inaccurate. Problem is he didn't have time to throw, and there were no bases open for him. He had to get the ball out in 2 seconds or less, which obviously one of the things that I really liked about him. But obviously at the NFL level, where they're giving disguises, different looks, it's very hard to process all that information as in your first game as a rookie in the first NFL atmosphere. I heard earlier on TV that this was his first time he's ever even been to an NFL game, and it's actually him playing. So it's obviously very hard to adjust to that. So obviously first half, he looked very poor. Our defense looked very good first half. They had a key 4th down stop, although that was also partly due to the Carolina mishap, the fumble on 4th down, which really helped our defense thrive. But really, the defense played great all game long, other than really the second quarter, which was the quarter where it all got away from us. The reason why we really lost this game. First quarter, I didn't like, because the offense really just wasn't enough. It just wasn't good enough. And obviously, the blame goes to the offense, but the defense of Carolina, again, was fantastic, all 3 levels. But now you go into the second quarter, and this is where really kind of where the game started to get away from us and really forced us into a pretty big hole that we had to come back from. So Carolina, again, starts to drive the field. We get another stop inside the red zone and force them to kick a field goal, which obviously isn't ideal to concede the first points of the game, but it's not the end of the world. And then Zach Wilson probably makes really his first error of the game. Because up until then, even though he had been poor, he didn't make any stupid decisions. And I didn't feel like he had played a bad game, because he really couldn't. Obviously, they say take what the defense is giving you, but the defense wasn't giving him anything. But this was the first play where it's a rookie mistake, and thing you expect from all sorts of rookies. His first interception is Shaq Thompson. I see what he's trying to do. He's trying to hit his man on the slant, and he kind of tries to look off Shaq Thompson. Shaq Thompson realizes what he's doing. He gets a hand, kind of tips it to himself. Obviously, in college, Zach Wilson probably would get away with that, and that'd be a first down for BYU. But obviously, in the pros, they're much faster reflexes. It's a lot harder. Zach can't trust his arm strength to get him out of those types of challenges. And Carolina get a big pick and drive into the enemy territory, and which allowed them to get more points on the board, making it 9-0. And again, really the story of the first half was really the Jets couldn't do anything. I remember at one point in the game, we had one big reception in the first half, we had one big reception to Corey Davis, and that was it. Because I saw once that through 35 plays, the Jets had gained 36 yards of total offense, which is abysmal. And again, credit to the Carolina defense, but that just can't be happening. And it really kind of shows kind of the athletes that we had compared to the athletes Carolina had. Carolina are much further along in their rebuild, and they looked like a team that might be able to contend for a spot in the playoffs. Well, we looked like a team that's just starting our rebuild, and obviously, like we're the youngest team in the NFL, giving so many players our debuts. Then obviously they're going to be nerves, and that really showed throughout the first half, concluding with a big touchdown from former Jet to former Jet, a great throw by Sam Darnold to Robbie Anderson to make it a 16-0 game. And that's another play where it kind of shows the inexperience of the defense. Robbie Anderson easily burns his safety. He's one-on-one. There's no chance for him. And Sam Darnold throws a ball. It's a good ball, but it really, obviously, it was pretty easy. Robbie Anderson ran a great route against, again, a young, inexperienced Jets secondary and put the Panthers up 16-0 going into halftime. And I haven't even gotten to the biggest problem for the Jets during this entire game, but especially during the first half. Zach Wilson was under constant duress during the entire game. He had six sacks. He sacked 6 times, numerous other quarterback hits, and numerous other hurries. It was kind of scary because you don't want this to be like a Joe Burrow situation where he keeps getting hit until boom, he's out for the season. And I think obviously that is the concern, but I think our offensive line will get better, but this game wasn't it. Zach Wilson was getting hit over and over, and he proved to really be a tougher athlete than I thought, because he was kept on getting up and up and up, even after that scary hit where his, towards the end of the game where his head slammed to the turf when Derek Brown absolutely mauled him for a sack. But credit to Zach Wilson, he did what he could, but the first half obviously wasn't his half. It was such a there was literally nothing open for him. The receivers kind of didn't get it done either. Corey Davis couldn't get open. Zach had one really nice throw to Elijah Moore where he absolutely launched a bomb, but Moore dropped it. It would have been a somewhat tough catch, but you expect the rookie to catch that there. He's a rookie though, so that obviously it's growing pains. He will improve from that. But overall, the first half really showed where each teams are, and the Panthers were in like kind of the better team. But I expected the second half the Jets would really improve, especially considering how much Zach Wilson prioritizes kind of learning defenses, learning their systems, learning their tendencies. And in the second half, it started poorly. The first 2 drives were 3 and outs. It almost seems like it was worse. And all of a sudden, Carolina, it's scary. They can run away with it. But the defense, again, the second half, other than the second quarter, they were lights out. They were getting to the quarterback. They blitzed a lot more in the second half, and it worked. Sam Darnold really couldn't get much of a rhythm, and they really had to rely on Christian McCaffrey, who was doing it all. He was running the ball, passing the ball. He accounted for 98 yards of rushing, 89 yards of receiving, which meant that he accounted for 187 yards of total offense. And really, in my opinion, when I'm looking at that game, a lot of people were saying Sam Darnold had a good performance, but he didn't. He wasn't bad. He played pretty good. But what I noticed from that game is that Sam Darnold on the Panthers looks like Sam Darnold on the Jets, except Sam Darnold has Christian McCaffrey. Because a lot of these plays, Sam Darnold's under pressure, is under duress. And with the Jets, he doesn't have anything. He either has to take a sack, throw it away, or throw an interception. And in this game, if I'm down, if I'm in trouble, throw it to Christian McCaffrey. That was always 5-10 yards. And that was a big part of his offense because Christian McCaffrey led the team in rushing and receiving. You can tell how much of an impact Christian McCaffrey has on Sam Darnold. Heck, Sam Darnold even says it himself. He says that if I'm ever in doubt, it's not a bad idea to throw to Christian McCaffrey. He said that to reporters, and it seems that it's working out for him. And that's why the Panthers really were able to win this game and kind of control this game, especially during the first half. But during the second half, we saw a lot of improvement. Obviously, after the first 2 drives, the Jets defense was holding up, and that's where Zach Wilson had his first great drive of the game. Was making a few clutch throws over the middle to the sideline. Michael Flores finally kind of maybe adjusting protection, and the running game. Ty Johnson started to have a few decent runs, and it was opening it up a bit, given that the Jets were being forced to pass more and more. And the Panthers defense was obviously getting tired, given that it was so hot in Carolina. 83 in Carolina. I think it was like 110 on the field. So obviously there is going to be some fatigue, and the Jets offense really took advantage of it. And it led to a huge touchdown to Corey Davis. It was Zach Wilson again showing why he was the second overall pick. A rollout to the right. He's out wide. throws a very, very good pass to Corey Davis, which leads to a touchdown. Obviously, he was wide open in the end zone, but the fact that he was able to kind of extend the play, throw out from outside the pocket, a good throw, is the reason why, again, he was drafted second overall. Of course, there's silver lining. Even though we got his first touchdown, of course, it's the Jets, so it's not always going to be all good. Mekhi Becton did suffer an injury, and the good news to take away from that, obviously injury isn't good news, but the severity of it. Because when I looked at it, when you see him emotional coming off the car, you think, oh, that's a season ender. Especially considering how the Jets offensive line was struggling to that point, you think, really, how are we going to recover from this? Obviously losing our best tackle in this game, who wasn't really performing very well up to that point, but he's still your best tackle. But the good news coming from that game is that Mekhi Becton actually, instead of having a torn ACL, he has a sprained MCL along with a dislocated kneecap, which will sideline him for 4 to 5 weeks, which obviously isn't ideal, but it's something that the Jets offense can really manage a lot more. And obviously, I think at that point, that was really where the Jets started to kind of gain momentum into this game with that touchdown from Corey Davis, because the Jets defense still played lights out. They did allow another field goal, a nice drive from Carolina, but New York again responded with a late touchdown with one of Zach Wilson's probably his best throw of the game to Denzel Mims. After getting absolutely rocketed in the pocket, he finds Mims and a cover two, and he runs all the way down into the red zone, which was a huge play for the Jets, which gave them a chance. And eventually led to a touchdown. And what I noticed really during the second half, which was, in my opinion, really a difference, was not really that, I mean, obviously Zach Wilson played better, but it wasn't really that he was also, obviously changed the foot. It was also more that we could have seen more of the same in the first half if the protection didn't get better. The protection did get better. I thought Morgan Moses stepped in and played a solid game. I thought George Chan played a lot better at left tackle. I thought the interior was better, except for that Derek Brown sack, which is an absolute, which probably Zach Wilson's worst hit of the game. But overall, in the second half, we saw a lot better protection. The receivers were getting open more. Corey Davis had a decent second half. Braxton Berrios had a decent second half. And one of the things that did dumbfound me really was that Denzel Mims was, especially with two of Zach Wilson's biggest targets out being Keelan Cole and Jamison Crowder. I'm surprised Denzel Mims was not used more often. Obviously, we saw Coach Solid say today that he is wide receiver number 4, but on the 3 plays that he was in the game, he was targeted twice and made one huge play. And I feel like even if he isn't practicing very well, I still think he has to be in the game more than 3 plays when you have 2 of your top receivers out and you have a player like Mims who can make such a big impact on a game. And he was probably responsible for one of our touchdowns. If he doesn't make that 4-yard play, if he doesn't get open on that play, it's probably a much different game. Well, we lost, but it obviously doesn't look as good on the scoreboard, but also at that point we at least had a chance. And he didn't get the ball back. McCaffrey ran for another first down, which ended the game. But to take away from it, I thought Zach Wilson was very good in the second half. He played extremely well and showed why he's a franchise quarterback. All these people are saying, oh, Sam Darnold outplayed Zach Wilson. Just did not watch the game. They're just looking at this. They're looking at the stat line. They're saying, oh, Zach Wilson threw a pick. Sam Darnold didn't throw a pick. Sam Darnold had a better completion percentage. Oh, Sam Darnold played better. That's just not true when you see the circumstances. The Panthers are a much better football team than us right now. They rebuilt it for a couple of years, and they now look like a team that I think potentially could sneak into a wild card position. And who knows, maybe could even win the division if they weren't in Tampa Bay's division. I think they look that good. Their defense was flying all over the place. The offense was electric, especially with CMC, DJ Moore, and Terrace Marshall, who also got a few targets. I think will improve every game. And honestly, obviously, there's no such thing as a good loss. But this was, and I wouldn't say it's a good loss, but it's promising the way we played, especially the way that we kind of bounced back. It's something that you wouldn't see in the Gase era, the way Michael Fleur adjusted, the way Saleh's defense played, especially during the second half. And obviously, although I am giving a lot of credit to Carolina, they aren't the best team. And obviously, it'll be much harder against better teams like Carolina, like when we play teams this year, like Tampa Bay, like, I don't know, I'm sure we're playing a Buffalo, like even Miami. It'll be a lot harder than this. And I think one of the most promising things is that this is the youngest team. I think we're going to get better every week. We have a lot of promising rookies. I expect my players like Michael Carter to improve. I expect players like Elijah Moore to improve. I obviously expect Zach Wilson to improve, especially considering how he came out firing second half. I think a lot of people are overreacting considering, the fact that we didn't play very well, and they're saying that Zach Wilson's gonna have to carry the team the whole Euro. Zach Wilson's gonna have a insane injury because of the offensive line. I think the offensive line improved second half, so I think obviously I don't want to be all positive. We did lose this game, but there are good things that came out of this that gets me excited for the future. That maybe this Jets team isn't a team that's gonna lay down and die like we have in the previous games. With a new coach, with a new quarterback, with a new OC, I think things are kind of looking up. And I'm gonna end this while giving who I think was the best player of this game, the MVP of this game for the Jets, even though there weren't that many great players. I think I'm between a few guys. I thought Zach Wilson was very good second half. I thought Corey Davis obviously with his 2 touchdowns was clutch. But I am going to Michael Carter and Bryce Hall played phenomenally. It's good tough. I'm gonna give it to Corey Davis for those 2 touchdowns. I think he's gonna improve every week. And I think he's gonna be an integral part to the Jets rebuild. And I think in the future he'll definitely be Zach Wilson's receiver 1. And I think eventually the way he played, and if he continues playing on this track, I could see him breaking into that top 15. Who knows, maybe even top 10. I don't want to exaggerate, but I think he was very good. I think, again, for my conclusion, I've kind of been rambling on for the past few minutes, but I think obviously we played good second half, which is obviously the most promising, the most important thing considering obviously second half is where games are won and lost. And we just dug ourselves into a hole too big this game. And with a young team, with a team that's just going to get better every week, with a coaching staff that I actually trust, I think we will be fine. I think we will win games this season. We're definitely more even than we won last season. And I think that's it. I think that's all there is to say. But if you enjoyed this video, again, make sure to like and subscribe. We have 3 other hosts, Kian, Charlie, and Dylan. For you guys who have been watching NFL predictions this year and last year, that is coming out tomorrow. So look out for that. Stay tuned for that. And follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all of that stuff. And I'm sure those will all be in the description. And that is it for the video. Thank you for watching.